Hello, Raymond.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you? Did you have a good day?
Yes, yes, very good day until now.
Good. And where are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
Ah, I get a lot of students from Brazil. Why do you think
Yeah,
that is?
I'm sorry.
Why is
Your voice is cutting a little bit here for me, so I can't understand you.
you might have a bad connection.
Yes, yes. Can you repeat your question, please?
Why is that?
It's because it's very important here that language and that time now here it's 10 p.m. So most people are at home now, and almost every class I take at this time, I can see a lot of Brazilians. But I
Yeah.
think it's because of the time.
Did you say it's 10 p.m.?
Yes.
Wow, 3 hours
Mhm.
difference.
Yes, yes. You are now 7 p.m.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Canada, but give me a second. A few other students joined, so let me say hello to them as well.
Okay.
Hello, Hyde.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Good to see you. How was your week?
This week the weather was very bad.
Well, this time of year, one can expect bad weather.
Even today it's overcast.
Same here.
hmm
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, I wonder what kind of weather that Edson has since it's summertime almost. Hello, Edson.
Hi,
What kind of weather are
hello.
you having?
The weather is extremely hot here now.
Extremely hot.
Yeah, no raining, no cold, just hot. Can you imagine the situation?
I can. I definitely can imagine the situation because we
I
were
love
there.
cold, but it's terrible this temperature for me because I had to turn on my air conditioner. It's freezing in my room now. On the other hand, my electric bill is terrified.
I can imagine it is. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started because we've got an interesting lesson today. I told everybody it'd be controversial, but I find that we have better classes when the topics are controversial because people have something to say. So today's class is about sexual discrimination or equality or equal opportunity, depending on how you look at it. It's about equal opportunity between men and women. Now, generally, this equal opportunity refers to job opportunities. Since most everywhere in the world, women have the right to vote. So it's not about voting, it's more or less about opportunities in the workplace. Now, I have shared up on my screen an article from the CBC that talks about firefighters and that female firefighters face bullying, sexual harassment. And there's an actual show about this that goes into detail showing how to get them out of the force. They are bullied, they are harassed, and in some cases, situations are made dangerous. And in a field like firefighting, it's not what you want. So I'm going to leave this scrolled up on the screen. In fact, I'll actually give you guys the address because there's a video. And if you want to watch the video or you have a chance to speak, feel free to do so. So as I normally do in this class, I'm going to start off by having a 1-minute conversation with each one of you, and then we'll get into a dialogue. As always with the conversation class, I'm not focusing on pronunciation or grammar. It's about comprehension of the material and being able to carry on a conversation. Make sure you give your partner, when you're speaking with another student, a fair amount of time to speak. And be very respectful. Okay, Raymond.
Yep.
What do you think about this, the topic of sexual discrimination?
I think, unfortunately, it still happens.
Hmm.
Um, Brazil is not an exception in this case, but nowadays we have a female president, so I think it's something interesting because it's, if you consider or compare with some countries, it is an advance in this case. But somehow there is still this kind of discrimination yet. But here there are some sectors of the industry which are more common. You see just female working or more female working than men. For instance, when you talk about teaching in public schools,
Hmm.
um, most professionals are women. It's pretty rare to see men over there.
Hmm.
hmm But that's it.
Okay, good point. You do only 2 seconds left, so we'll end it there. Hyde, your thoughts on the topic. What do you think about sexual discrimination? What are your thoughts?
In Japan, about job opportunity, the companies tend to employ the just graduated students, most of the case. And then on the rule, job opportunity the same. But actually, they employ male students more than female students.
Hmm.
And after getting job, they work on the same situation. But when women get married, many cases they quit the job because they need to give birth the babies. Then
Hmm.
after that, they can't return the former place. So most of women after giving birth, they can get only part-time job. It's very unfair.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Again, about 3 seconds left, and we'll move on to the next student. Oh, sorry, let me press the wrong button. Francisco, it's your turn. What are your thoughts on sexual discrimination?
Well, I think this is very common. Well, here in Mexico, it's very common too. Uh, it's very common well, not sometimes it's very common not hiring a woman because sometimes the boss thinks she won't fit into a traditional workplace with men, and sometimes it's a little unfair too. Some women don't they have a promoting uh, position
Hmm.
they're because bosses think that they are not going to have the authority, or sometimes sometimes they are forced to wear some kind of clothes, maybe short skirts or something like that.
Uniforms.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a few stories out of the US recently about that one. Edson, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think discrimination is very unfair for women. And if you see in past 10 years, we couldn't see women working in teaching like in some universities, mainly here in Brazil, because it was considered just for men to teach or be a professor. And nowadays it's getting like almost equal or maybe just a little somewhat uh, more for women than for men, so some sectors like for in scientific or engineering or any stuff like computers, there are there they are going to increase the sector.
Thank you, Edson. All right. Next, we have Asma. Asma, what do you think about sexual harassment?
Okay. Well, I think that sexual discrimination is um, is very common everywhere, because especially at work, you can see discrimination between employees. You can't treat, some bosses treat um, or does not treat in the same way male to women. So I think that women can do the same job, but they will not pay it the same than male.
Well, that's something else. That's equal pay for equal work, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's very strange when I see these cases happen in development countries
Sorry, I have to
or
stop you,
developed countries.
but I
Sorry.
thank you for your comment. Um, Amp, what are your thoughts on
Thank you,
this
Chair.
issue?
Yes, unfortunately, I think it's the same here. Depends on the degree that you have, but technical careers, it's more difficult for us to find a job. And companies, they prefer men because they think women they get married and they have to give birth, and then the babies they are sick and they miss the for 2 months and a half. That is the law um, order, and they have to replace her with someone else, and that is the one of the excuses that they have. Even when you go to the university, there is not the same amount of students in engineering careers, the women students than men. If we have 100 students that are getting the degree, probably just 12 are women.
Thank you. All right, so we've heard a couple of things. All of us seem to say the same thing. It's not fair. Why does it happen? Um, do people think women are inferior? We've heard that, well, women have babies and we're going to lose them in a year or two, so I don't want to hire somebody I'm going to lose. Okay, I believe that's a belief, but anybody who's hiring in today's world, there's no guarantee you're going to keep employees for more than a few years. We have a highly mobile workforce. So I don't know what all the reasons are, and I don't really care. Um, I we're talking about unfair discrimination here, because let's be honest. When it comes to hiring people, you are going to discriminate. Discrimination is part of hiring. For example, if you're looking for an engineer with a certain degree, well, you're discriminating based on that degree. But we shouldn't be discriminating on sex. I think that's what we're all saying here. So why did it happen? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Years ago, I used to think, why is there all this talk about legislation for equal opportunity? I didn't think we had any issues. And even up until a few weeks ago, I thought, things are pretty good in this country. Then I read this report from the CBC, and I was stunned. Now, these women had passed a test. I don't know what the test was, but you have to work very hard to get in to become a firefighter. You have to go through a lot of activities and tasks, and they had passed. And women are literally bullied. They are touched. Some of them, in this one case, some women have been touched sexually. And the workplace environment has been made unsafe. And to me, that is shocking. You're in the line of rescuing people and saving people, and to do this to some of your own seems wrong. So it's, and after seeing that, I realized, we're not there yet. We do need to do something, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it involves legislation. You can pass laws, but does that really change things? People always seem to have a way around laws. Is it a change in education? Is it a change at home? On become employed, and are the ones who set the rules and the laws. So what I would like to do, I'd like to engage you guys in a conversation to discuss the issues, discuss possible solutions. Okay, so I'm going to pair you up. Right now there's 6 of us, well, 7 including me, but 6 of you guys. And I want to keep the conversation to a mere 3 minutes because that will allow you guys to speak, but it'll narrow your focus because you don't have a lot of talk time. And then I'll provide commentary after each of you speak. Let me see this article here. Is there any more down here that I can scroll to? Yeah, so I'll scroll down a bit more so you guys can read a bit more about this, and then I'll take off the screen sharing. So Raymond and Hyde, you guys have 3 minutes to discuss the topic of sexual discrimination in the workplace. Go ahead, please.
Okay, you can start, Hyde.
In Japan, in the workplace, we can't feel any gender discrimination as far as they are working the same place, and even the wage is the same. How about your country?
Unfortunately, here we still have this kind of gender discrimination, especially when it concerns about the amount of money women and men can do. According to some recent researches they did here in Brazil, those researchers say, I think there are a difference of 30% in the salary of the women and the men for the same position. So I think it's very unfair because people can do the same thing for different salaries. I think it's not a fair thing to think.
The Japanese problem is not wage or something. It's just opportunity. For example, men, a lot of men are promoted to the boss or something, but a female boss is very few. And even I mentioned before, once they quit the job, men can enter another company as a stable job, but female, they can't get a stable job, only part-time job.
Okay, I see. Yeah, here's almost the same thing, but when you talk to pregnancy, because I read something like that in the chat box, here there is a kind of protection for pregnant women, because if she is pregnant, she can't be fired in in none way. And as soon as the baby born, she must be in the job for 4 months because there is a maternity leave. So at least in this situation, women have this kind of protection when they are pregnant. But just that, I think.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so what are some of the solutions here? What can be done?
Because before, women need to have house keep job, like cleaning or cooking or anything, and taking care of babies. But young generation is different. Even husband work in the house very well. So maybe this situation will change in the future.
Thank you very much. Right, guys, and I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I don't want you to shy away from offering suggestions and having a constructive dialogue here. Everybody here in the class, you heard the first round, everybody felt that this was not a good thing. So let's explore opportunities. Now, there are obviously some issues here. So, for example, you could say, well, you can't fire women if they're pregnant. Well, what if they are poor performers? Well, then there's something to deal with that. But if a woman is pregnant in the workplace and she wants to leave, have a baby, and come back after a year, 6 months, whatever the legislation in the countries, in some countries I think it might be 2 years. In the US, I don't think there is any legislation. In some cases, you have to go back to work after a couple of weeks. It varies from country to country, but what would you guys like to see? What do you think we can do to fix this? This is not isolated to any one country. All right, thank you, Raymond and Hyde. Next, we have Francisco and Edson. Gentlemen, you've got 3 minutes. Make sure you respect each other's talk time. Go ahead, please.
What do you think about the to pass some legislation to finish the to be equal for women and for men, some kind of works?
Well, I think this will be more fair for women because they are being discriminated a lot.
Yeah.
I think that everybody deserves equal opportunity, but here, equal opportunity and promoting positions. I think uh, every company or every country or every state must issue policies um, in favor of this thing, uh, and maybe in the companies too. The company must inform the employees about these policies or is forbidden discriminate women or because of their characteristics. So, what do you think it could be a good choice or a good opportunity to avoid discrimination?
Oh, well, is for example, if you pass some legislation to finish the to solve the problem, you are already doing creating another problem. Like, for if you pass the legislation, you are supposed to you think that there's discrimination. So, and since there's so many any kind of work just requires just we are hiring any kind of men or women for work, like it doesn't matter the work, for example, as it happens in some colleges or universities. They, if you're not mistaken, they don't have um a percent of the women or men to go to university to teach. But actually, I don't know what do you think about.
I think here in Mexico, law is making a great progression. But in the companies right now, the companies are informing the employees
Sorry,
that
gentlemen, time is up. It's interesting. I've heard this discussion before. Discrimination is bad, but is it fair to put in quotas and all this sort of stuff? Well, I think you really have to understand how bad discrimination is and how prevalent it is for you to realize the need to do something about it. But again, what I'm really challenging you guys to do is to come up with solutions. What can we do? Not reasons why something won't work. Let's focus on solution finding right now. Now, I think it's important for you guys, there's also, if you can, to search the web looking for countries that have found a way to resolve this issue. Well, maybe not resolve it, but reduce the frequency of discrimination or sexual harassment. Next, we have, let's see, Asma and AMP. Ladies, you guys have 3 minutes. What can we do to fix this problem?
Well,
Hello,
I think we start just when it's our opportunity to vote, we can choose women that can represent the genre in the middle of the assembly, for example. And unfortunately, we didn't do that. Even when there are some women that have showed that they are capable enough to fight for our rights. And it's part of our culture, maybe. And that in between women, there is like a more jealousy. I don't know. What do you think, Asma, about this?
Well, I didn't understand very well your point. Means
Yeah,
you
sometimes
mean that
in between women, so when you are in a group of women and we're together, they try to be the best in, and nobody wants to support the other just because she have a better idea. It's like a kind of selfishness or jealousy that don't get the the progress because we
mhm.
are just
Yeah,
supporting
means you
men
mean
instead of women.
okay, means between men and women. Uh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I think that boss or the who is bossing around has to be strict to avoid that this jealous can make a problem to I don't know, to the company, or can avoid accomplishing the goals of the company. So I think that the chef of the team, yeah, has to be aware uh, about what happened, and about the if to be sure if some discrimination uh, exists or can be exist because of jealousy.
Yeah, but how to solve it?
Yeah, how to solve it? I think that you have to have some policy, to prepare some policy, and
Yeah, but
also maybe
I think that also you have to start at home.
I have to start what?
At home.
At home
Yeah.
means culture. Yeah, but
Yes.
I think yeah, it's a good idea, but it depends on the family, so you cannot track everybody what he's doing or how he's raising his children, for example, you know. So it's a little bit complicated.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Quite often, if you put it into the school system, it is brought into the families because children learn it there and then they'll bring it up at home. So that's one way to address uh, the discussion at home and also to help educate people. Now, another thing you can do is you can mandate, okay, we will hire 50% women, 50% men. It's quota based. That's one way of doing it. Two, at a federal government level, you can say that uh,
But
men and women, you want to give equal opportunity here, that when a baby is born, the mother and father can stay home up to a year. Now, the father can do 6 months, the mother can do 6 months, or the mother can do 12 months. Either way, you allow up to a year, because if you've ever had a baby, you know that it's hard to find anyone to have under a year. So you have legislation there, and what you do is you provide a subsidy to the family for the person who is staying at home with the child. In the West, we have a very, very low birth rate because the cost of children is so high. By subsidizing childcare, by allowing parents to stay home long enough, we make it easier, and studies show birth rates are higher. So that's one thing we can do that helps not only the birth rate but discrimination. And for parents that choose maternity leave, companies must guarantee their position when they get back. These are some potential solutions. All right, we give you guys another round, 3 minutes apiece. Right, this time. Again, I've only suggested a few topics. Feel free to discuss them, the merits they have, or maybe why it might not work. Come up with your own ideas. Remember, I'm looking for solutions here. Raymond and Hyde, go ahead, please.
Right.
Who, who? Sorry. Who? I can't.
I think his connection has fallen. So one solution would be give some lower taxes, for instance, for companies who hire more women, at least to make the position equal. But I think the best one would be educate people from home in school and to show the world don't need gender inequality anymore because it's um, how can I explain that? It's not interesting for the world because there is no difference between a man and a woman. They can think and do the same thing they want. They just need the opportunity to do. And in fact, there are some companies have been already trying those kinds of things, and they need to follow the example. I think that will be an interesting point to fix those problems.
I missed the conversation. You guys got a minute and
And
a
what
half
about you?
left. Yeah, keep going.
Yes, I finished my point here. And
Is Hyde not speaking?
Yes. If I explain about the Japanese situation, the idea came from China, confusion. In the confusion, a man is very important traditionally. Now China, they don't follow the confusion, but Japan, we still are following the confusion. So men are very important. They can succeed the name of the family or Tom or anything. But females going another. Female the people who go to another family. So for the family, female are not so important. It's basic idea in Japan. Maybe even gender discrimination came from this idea.
Well, there's about 13 seconds left, so let me jump in here. Yeah, I've heard that too. In some countries, males, babies are preferred over female. Now, I have a son, I have a wife, and my son carries my last name. My wife kept her last name. I don't really understand what the big deal over this is. I understand it is tradition, but just because my son carries my last name doesn't make him mine. He's half me, half my wife. Study science. The egg and the sperm come together and create a new human based on the material from both of us. So to say that just because your son or daughter carries your name and not your spouse's name doesn't make that child any less important. And mothers are very important. Now, thousands of years ago, yes, it was very much role-based in a lot of societies.
If you think about the DNA, male have X and Y, female have X and X, right? The Y is succeed to next gender, always, the next generation, always. So Y is like the family, tradition. You can see the emperor family, always a male son succeed the emperor place.
Yeah, and I don't know why a lot of things happen in our house. Right now, I'm looking after my child. I can tell he's asleep. I just put him to bed before class, and I'm looking after him. I'm daddy daycare. From when I get off work, I go pick him up. I feed him. I look after him. I change him. I wash him. I brush his teeth, and I put him to bed. Then I do some classes. Then I relax. Then my wife comes home later. In the morning, she takes care of him. She feeds him. She dresses him. She takes care of him and drops him off at daycare. So we're sharing the work. It's something that we both do. And I know in some families, men will never do the dishes or anything. That's the wife's job. I don't understand that. To me, it's very much a partnership. But that's enough of me jabbering. I want to get you guys talking. So for 3 minutes, Francisco and Amp, what can we do? What are good solutions to some of these issues we've talked about? Oh, sorry, wait a minute. Asma and Francisco. I didn't see Asma there. Asma and Francisco, you guys have 3 minutes. What can we do to fix this?
Uh, yes, teacher, I disconnected, okay, or I was kicked off, so I don't know. I don't know what is the question.
We're, we're looking, well, start and he can guide the conversation.
Okay.
Okay, Alma. Well, the teacher is proposing some solutions to this discrimination. What could be a good point for finish this discrimination? Do you have one?
I don't know. For example, I think that it's better when children go to co-educational school because at that moment they will to accept each other because in some countries, in America, in everywhere, I think there is, for example, women's school, boys' school, even though in some Arab countries. And I think that when you go to code school, it's better because opposite sex can learn from each other, and at that moment, the child starts to accept the opposite sex. So I think, yeah, I think that, for example, code school is better and it's a solution or it's a start to give the possibility to children to accept or to respect the opposite sex.
Okay,
What do you
okay, Alma. I agree with you about education, about informing our children about that they have to behave to have a good behavior. But I think too that I don't know, law and companies uh, don't have to tolerate more this behavior. They have to issue some policies to employees. If an employee or a person is misbehaving, well, maybe that employee or that person must be fired from the company because this is a big problem I think in most of the countries in the world. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is a good idea, but also I think that employees also have to be aware or to speak out, to not be afraid that if they feel treated badly, means inferior than men, even though they do the same job. So at that time, it's the responsibility of employees to speak
Thank you,
out.
guys. Yeah, but I think to be fair too, you need to have policies in the workplace that help. You also need to have federated legislation as well, so that
Yeah.
everybody has an equal playing field, right? So I think that's important. All right, Amp and Simon, you guys get to have a discussion now. Hello, Amp.
I'm back.
I know, I can tell. So what do we do, Amp? Do we just give up? Nothing we can do?
Yes, I think well, at home sometimes the parents just grow the children with the idea that there are some activities that are just for women and there are some activities that are some just for men.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grow up with this idea, when it's the time to face the reality in your society, it's pretty difficult to try to change these parameters and saying that well, women are not able to, for example, to hammer or just in a basic point. But sometimes we are responsible of that because we said no, I cannot do that. I am a lady. I cannot. We we sometimes do that. And
We
when we,
do. And I
yeah,
can tell you, having a child, there are things that boys generally prefer, and there are things that women generally, or not women, a girl in a playground setting where all the toys are available to them, you'll see that boys generally go for certain types of toys. They love cars, anything with wheels. They
yeah,
love
yeah,
Lego, whereas
yeah.
women like other different types of toys, or girls.
That's it. Perfect.
Yeah, and that's okay, but we shouldn't be
Yeah,
trying to tell them what to play with, or that, no, don't play with that, that's wrong.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You when you do that, well, you are just growing your children with the wrong concept. I think so. Well, I am not a parent, but I have my nephews and nieces, and for example, they like to play together, and they both like to play soccer,
Hmm.
women and girls and boys, and it's but it's something that even in sports these problems occurs. Just tennis players, men have a lot of prizes and money, and
Hmm.
the same kind of profession in women, they get less money. It's the same in the actors in every profession is almost the same. It's pretty difficult to find, for example, here a CEO in a company that is a woman. There is here just I think one woman that is the one of the richest here, but it was because she inherited from his dad, so
Ah.
it's a different. But that for herself, no, she have created or improved his.
Well, things like this, I mean, they do take generations to fix. About 100 years ago, we'd be talking about slavery, or 200 years ago, right? Or imperialism. Uh, Through generations, we start to realize that maybe this is not the best way to go about things, but it can take generations to change. Um, Germany and Britain, the hatred that was there for the longest time, it took generations, almost to my generation, before we didn't hate the Germans anymore. It wasn't, Germany felt just as bad about what happened as the rest of the world. It was a few that really led to that. Same with China and Japan. There's been a lot of hatred there for a long time because of what happened, and it takes generations. Same thing as what England and past that, and it's generally the older generation that still holds on to that. It's the same thing with gender discrimination. It takes generations of education. We see what our parents did. We didn't like that, or we look. 20 years ago, we had smoking in the workplace. That wasn't good either, and now that's been banned. So some of these things will take generations to fix. Others can be solved through legislation. As I said in one of my posts, women aren't just a different sex. There are family, there are mothers, there are sisters, there are spouses. And men aren't the enemy either. There are a lot of bullies, and bullies take many forms. Men and women have to come together on this. This is not just a women's issue. This is a family issue. We have to support each other. All right. Yes, I'm not going to talk about that app. We can do smoking another time. All right. Let's see. 16 minutes left. I'm going to try to do one more round. Raymond and Sam this time. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. Last words. What can we do to solve this problem? Guys, time is ticking. What can we do to solve this
Okay.
problem of sexual discrimination?
How we can solve the
Oh,
problem, teacher? Does it mean you?
No, how do we solve the problem? We, society, how do we solve this
Mhm.
problem?
About discrimination of uh, girls and boys, right?
Well, don't talk to me. Talk to Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, I want to understand the question. That's why I'm asking you.
That's fine, but you
Okay.
know what? Raymond's been here the
Mm-hmm.
whole class. Why don't you talk to him? Give him some talk
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh,
Um,
Simon, how we can say that, how we can solve the problem? I think the discrimination of between these two gender, uh, we can say that uh, I think it's depend that sometime culture as well, and because you know that when we live in a specific places, they have dominancy of a specific gender. So you can see that the situation is totally different.
Okay, let's see what Raymond
And
has to say because he hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Raymond?
mhm,
uh, yes, I think those kind of things people should start at since a child, since people
mhm,
is a child,
mhm,
and in the school and at home at the same time. And we need to show children that gender inequality is a bad thing, because
mhm,
when humans, I think we don't born with this kind of prejudice. We unfortunately we learn it and during our lives. So
mhm,
I think we could learn something different in this case, and that time trying to learn important things like not just gender inequality but
mhm,
all kind of inequality, because people can suffer with it every time. If you go to some place and you think there is a kind of inequality or some kind of prejudice on you, it's something which can shame you and can put you in another situation. And those kind of things we learn on the school,
mhm,
parents must learn as well, because in some situations children can learn it at school, but at home
mhm,
parents can teach different things. So I think
Thank you,
mhm.
we
Raymond.
should
Thank you,
do
guys.
the same thing. Okay.
All right, I actually gave you guys 3 minutes instead of 2, and everybody else is going to get 3 minutes as well. So yeah, something we learned, perhaps. Very interesting. Okay, Hyde and Francisco, you guys have 3 minutes. This is your last chance to speak, I think. We'll probably run out of time because I have another class after this, so I have to end it at 55. So go ahead, Hyde and Francisco.
Japan had a economic depression for a long year, and then company tended to employ their men. So it was a hard time for female. But since 2 years ago, Japanese prime minister changed. From that, Japanese economy is very good now. The company can't choose a gender because almost 100% can get job, technical job. So the economic situation can solve the problem. And if Japanese population shrink, the family had only 1.7 children. Even it's a very good thing for Japanese because Japanese language is very difficult. So
Let's give
they
Francisco a
taught.
chance there, Hyde.
Okay, Heidi. Well, I agree with you. Maybe some things to prevent this situation. First, the government must issue some laws against this behavior. And I think in the companies too, they have to adopt a clear sexual harassment policy. And yes, and in the companies, they have to train employees maybe once a year, take a course about this situation, and to I don't know, maybe train supervisors and managers to this according to this problem. Actually, in the company they're doing this, and we're having a good result.
Okay, what I want to try and encourage you guys to do is not just have little speeches, but communicate with each other, ask each other. With only 3 minutes, if you take a minute to speak, it's hard to have a conversation. So be mindful of that, guys. I know it's tough, but 3-minute conversations happen a lot in the workplace. Ed, you've still got 40 seconds left.
Okay, Heidi. I don't know if well, I don't know if you are agree with me about those points about the government laws and companies.
Heidi, you there?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay, we've got 10 seconds left, so since guys are coming to the end of the conversation, I'll stop and I'll use that time and we'll give you 3 minutes. Amp and Asma, your last thoughts on this issue. Go ahead, please.
And do you think that everyone has a role play to do in order to avoid discrimination?
For sure. If you have to face something like that, well, you should let the people to know what is happening to you. There is, for example, so many companies that in the advertisements, the ads that they are trying to hire personnel, they said just men this age. So in just in the ad, yeah, you can find discrimination, and you should go to the ministry, the job of the work ministry to say there is a law that you're supposed to have the same rights. But if you don't say anything, oh, you are accepted. What do you think? Asma? Hello? Can you hear me okay?
Okay, I think we've lost her.
Oops.
I think it's late at night is what's happening. Everyone's getting a little tired.
Maybe. Or a bad connection.
Yeah, that happens. I've been booted 3 classes in a row now. I hope that my next class won't have that problem.
Yes, I've been having troubles also with my connection.
Yeah, well, the internet technology, isn't it great?
Not at all. Nothing is
No.
perfect.
Well, guys, it's kind of a difficult conversation to have, afraid of how people will see us when we talk about this, but it's for that reason that it's important to talk about this kind of topic, because it lets people know we care and that it matters. I didn't think we had that issue in this country until I've seen 2 stories now about police and firefighters that have been discriminating against women, and in a very, very offensive way. Not just
It surprised me because generally in your country it's like a half and a half and more women working.
Yeah, well, you see discrimination by people just not getting hired or something. You don't expect that you hire people and then you treat them poorly and you harass and you try to get them to quit. That to me it bothers me a lot. But we're going to change topics a little bit here. In my next class, describe what you see. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to describe what comes to your mind, what memories come up, or what it makes you think about. Maybe it's something you haven't done but you want to do, or maybe, I don't know. I don't know what comes into your mind, but the purpose of this class is to be descriptive, to use adjectives to describe what you're thinking, to convey what's on your mind. It's like reading a book. When you read a book, they can take an entire chapter to describe a setting in just a character or 2. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to do, is to provide more rich and descriptive, because people understand better when you do that. So that's coming up in 5 minutes. I'm going to end 5 minutes early, so it gives me time to get ready. I can get a fresh cup of tea, stretch my legs, and then I'll be back here for the next class. Who's going to be joining me in 5 minutes?
Me.
Good. Anyone else?
Bye-bye. See you.
Okay, good. Hyde, I hope you're back. I know in Japan it's the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe you want breakfast before you come back, but it's good having you back, Hyde. You were away for a while.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome. All right, guys, I'll be back in 5 minutes for my next class. Hope to see you then.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Here.